The palace of the empire stood tall against the purple sky. It was made of white stone that shined like glass. Inside, thousands of nobles walked through the halls. They wore long robes of silver and gold. Their skin was pale blue, and their eyes were large and dark. The people were proud. They believed they were the greatest race in the galaxy. In the highest tower of the palace, Princess sat alone. She looked out the window at the 3 moons of her planet. Her long silver hair fell past her shoulders. Her face was beautiful, but her eyes were sad. She had been crying, but she would not let anyone see her tears. Today was the worst day of her life. The royal doctors had given their final report. After years of tests and treatments, they had reached a conclusion. Princess was barren. She could never have children. In the empire, this was the greatest shame a woman could carry. The door opened behind her. Did not turn around. She knew who it was. "You have brought disgrace to our family," her mother said. The queen's voice was cold like ice. "I gave birth to 5 daughters. 4 of them have given me, but you, my youngest, you give me nothing but shame." Closed her eyes. "I am sorry, mother, I did not choose this." "It does not matter what you chose," the queen said. "What matters is what you are, broken, useless. A princess who cannot continue the royal bloodline is worth nothing." These words cut deep into his heart. She had heard them many times before, but they still hurt. She was 200 years old, young for her, but she had spent most of her life being told she was not good enough. "The emperor has made a decision," her mother continued. "You will be married." Turned around quickly. "Married to whom?" The queen's lips curved into a cruel smile. "To a human." The word hit like a punch. Humans. The primitive species from the small blue planet called Earth. They lived only 80 or 90 years. They had no special powers. Their technology was simple compared to science. In the eyes of the empire, humans were barely more than animals. "You cannot be serious," whispered. "I am very serious. The empire needs an alliance with Earth. Their planet has resources we need. Their military is growing stronger. The emperor has decided that a marriage will strengthen our relationship with them." The queen walked closer to her daughter. "And who better to send than a broken princess? You are the perfect choice. You have no value here, so we lose nothing by giving you away." Felt her legs go weak. She held onto the window frame to stay standing. "Please, mother, send someone else. Send one of my sisters." "Your sisters have worth. They have children. They have futures." The queen shook her head. "You have nothing. This is the only way you can serve the empire." The next few days passed like a bad dream. News of the marriage spread through the palace. Everywhere walked, she heard whispers and laughter. The nobles did not even try to hide their mockery. "Did you hear? The Barren princess is being sent to a human." "How fitting, a broken woman for a primitive man." "I heard the human is just a diplomat, not even a king or a prince. How far she has fallen." "Perhaps she will fit in better with the humans. They are simple creatures. Maybe she belongs with them." Kept her head high as she walked through the halls. She would not let them see her pain. She would not give them that satisfaction. But every night, alone in her room, she cried until she could not cry anymore. Her sisters came to visit her one by one, but they did not come to comfort her. They came to mock her. "Poor little," her oldest sister said with a fake smile. "Going to live with the animals. I hope they have good food on Earth. I heard humans eat very strange things." "Maybe she will be happy there," another sister said, laughing. "She was never good enough for men anyway. Maybe a human will not notice how broken she is." Said nothing. She had learned long ago that fighting back only made things worse. Her family had never loved her. They had only tolerated her because she was royal. Now that she was being sent away, they showed their true feelings. The day before she left, went to see the emperor. He was her grandfather, an ancient with silver eyes and a long white beard. He sat on his throne, looking down at her with no emotion on his face. "Grandfather," said, bowing low, I beg you to change your mind. Send me anywhere else. Let me serve the Empire in another way." The Emperor was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke. "You will go to Earth. You will marry the human called Park Wu. You will be a good wife to him and represent our empire well. This is my command." "But grandfather—" "Enough." His voice echoed through the throne room. "You are lucky I am sending you to Earth. I could have sent you to the mines of the outer planets. At least on Earth you will live in comfort. Be grateful for what you are given." Felt tears burning in her eyes, but she did not let them fall. "Yes, grandfather, I understand." She left the throne room with her heart broken into 1,000 pieces. No one in her family cared about her. No one in the Empire wanted her. She was being thrown away like garbage. That night she packed her few belongings. She did not have much. The royal family had taken back most of her gifts and jewelry. They said she did not deserve them anymore. She was left with only simple clothes and a few books. As she packed, she thought about her future husband, Park Wu. She had seen a picture of him. He was not ugly for a human. He had dark hair and kind eyes, but what did it matter? He was probably just as disappointed as everyone else. What man would want a barren wife? The next morning boarded the ship that would take her to Earth. A small crowd had gathered to watch her leave. They were not there to say goodbye. They were there to laugh. "Goodbye, Barren Princess," someone shouted. "Say hello to the animals for us," another voice called. Walked onto the ship without looking back. The door closed behind her and she was alone. The ship lifted off the ground and flew toward the stars. As her home planet grew smaller and smaller in the window, made a promise to herself. She would survive. She would not let them break her. No matter what waited for her on Earth, she would face it with strength. But deep inside, she was terrified. She was going to a strange planet to marry a strange man. She had nothing and no one. The galaxy had laughed at her, and she had no way to prove them wrong. Little did she know, everything was about to change. The journey to Earth took 3 weeks, spent most of that time in her small room on the ship. She did not want to talk to anyone. The crew members looked at her with pity and she hated it. She was tired of being seen as something broken. She used the time to learn about Earth. She read books about human history, their languages, their customs. The more she learned, the more confused she became. Humans were strange creatures. They fought wars over small pieces of land. They believed in hundreds of different gods. They killed each other over things that seemed meaningless. But there was something else about them, something that surprised her. They were emotional in a way that people were not. They cried when they were sad. They laughed when they were happy. They hugged each other and said, "I love you," without shame. On her planet, such things were seen as weakness. When the ship finally entered Earth's atmosphere, stood at the window and watched. The planet was beautiful. Blue oceans covered most of it, with green and brown land in between. White clouds floated over everything like soft blankets. The ship landed in a place called Seoul, in a country called Korea. This was where her new husband lived. Took a deep breath and walked to the door. Her hands were shaking, but she forced herself to stay calm. The door opened and bright sunlight hit her face. She blinked and looked around. A small group of people stood waiting for her. They were all humans, dressed in formal clothes. At the front of the group was a man she recognized from the picture. Park Wu. He was taller than she expected. His dark hair was neatly combed, and he wore a simple black suit. His eyes were warm and brown, and he was smiling at her. Smiling, not laughing, not mocking, actually smiling. Walked down the ramp slowly. She kept her face blank, waiting for the insults to start, waiting for him to look disappointed when he saw her up close. But the insults did not come. Wu stepped forward and bowed to her. "Princess, welcome to Earth. I am Park Wu. It is an honor to meet you." Bowed back, unsure of what to say. "Thank you for receiving me." "I hope your journey was comfortable," he said. His voice was gentle. "You must be tired. Please, let me take you to your new home." He offered her his arm, looked at it for a moment, confused. On her planet, men did not offer their arms to women. It was not their custom, but she remembered reading about this human tradition. It was a sign of respect. She took his arm carefully and he led her to a black car. A driver opened the door for them and they got inside. The car started moving through the streets of Seoul. Looked out the window at the city. It was so different from her home. The buildings were not as tall as towers, but they were colorful and full of life. People walked on the streets, talking and laughing. Children ran and played. Everything seemed so alive. "I know this must be strange for you," Wu said softly. "Coming to a new planet, meeting new people. I want you to know that you can take all the time you need to adjust." Turned to look at him. "You are very kind." "I try to be." He smiled again. That smile confused her. It seemed so genuine. "I have prepared a room for you in my home. It has a view of the mountains. I thought you might like it." "You did not have to do that." "I wanted to." He paused, then added, "I know this marriage was arranged. Neither of us chose it, but that does not mean we cannot try to make the best of it." Did not know how to respond. She had expected anger or disappointment. She had expected him to complain about being forced to marry an alien, but he seemed almost happy to have her there. "You are not upset?" she asked finally. "Upset about what?" "About marrying me." She looked down at her hands. "About marrying someone who cannot." She could not finish the sentence. The shame was too great. Wu was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke, very gently. "I know about your condition. The Empire made sure to tell us everything. They wanted to make sure I knew exactly what I was getting." Felt her chest tighten. Here it comes, she thought. Here comes the rejection. "But I do not care," Wu continued. "Children are a blessing, yes, but they are not everything. A marriage can be happy without children. A life can be full without children." Looked up at him, her eyes wide. "You truly believe that?" "I do." He met her gaze with steady eyes. "On Earth, many couples cannot have children. Some choose not to have them. They still live happy lives. They still love each other. Being unable to have children does not make you broken, princess. It just makes you human. Well, not human exactly, but you know what I mean." He smiled at his own joke and felt something strange happen. The corner of her mouth twitched. She almost smiled back. They arrived at Wu's home. It was not a palace, but it was beautiful. A large house made of wood and stone, surrounded by gardens. Cherry blossom trees lined the path to the door. Pink petals covered the ground like snow. "It is lovely," said. "My grandmother built it," Wu explained. "She loved gardens. After she passed, I kept the house the same way she left it. I hope you will like living here." Inside, the house was warm and comfortable. There were no servants, which surprised. On her planet, royalty always had servants. "I like to do things myself," Wu said when he noticed her looking around. "Cooking, cleaning, gardening, it keeps me busy. But if you want servants, we can hire some." "No," said quickly. "No servants, this is nice." He showed her to her room. It was exactly as he described. Large windows looked out at mountains covered in green trees. A soft bed sat in the corner, covered in white blankets. Fresh flowers sat in a vase on the table. "I will let you rest," Wu said. "Dinner will be ready in a few hours. Please come down whenever you are ready. Or if you are too tired, I can bring food up to you." He turned to leave, but stopped him. "Wait," she did not know why she spoke. The word just came out. "Why are you being so kind to me?" Wu turned back to face her. He thought for a moment before answering. "Because you are my wife now," he said simply. "And because you have come a very long way to be here. The least I can do is make you feel welcome." He bowed again and left the room, closing the door quietly behind him. Stood in the middle of her new room, not knowing what to think. She had prepared herself for cruelty. She had prepared herself for mockery and disappointment. She had not prepared herself for kindness. She walked to the window and looked at the mountains. They were so different from the glass towers of her home planet, so natural and wild, so beautiful. For the first time in months, she did not feel like crying. She felt something else instead, something she had almost forgotten. Hoping. Maybe this strange planet would not be so bad. Maybe this strange man with his gentle eyes and warm smile would not hurt her like everyone else had. Maybe, just maybe, she had a chance to start over. That night she went down for dinner. Wu had cooked everything himself. Simple food, but delicious. They talked for hours about their homes, their lives, their dreams. He listened to her stories without judgment. He laughed at her jokes. He treated her like she mattered. When she finally went to bed, felt something she had not felt in years. She felt like she belonged. 3 months passed on Earth. Spring turned to summer, and the cherry blossoms gave way to green leaves. Life had changed more than she could have imagined. She had learned to cook Korean food. She had learned to garden. She had even learned some human jokes, though she did not always understand why they were funny. Most importantly, she had learned what it felt like to be happy. Wu was unlike anyone she had ever known. He did not care about her royal blood. He did not care about her status or her failures. He saw her as just, and that was enough for him. They spent their days together, walking through the gardens, watching human movies and talking for hours. He taught her about Earth, and she taught him about the Empire. They laughed together. They argued sometimes, but always made up quickly. Had never felt this close to anyone before. But there was one thing that still hurt her. Every time she saw a family with children in the city, her heart ached. Every time Wu's mother visited and asked about, felt the familiar shame return. She would never be able to give him a child, and no matter how kind he was, she knew that must disappoint him. One night after his mother left, sat alone in the garden. The moon was full, and the flowers glowed silver in its light. She heard footsteps behind her, and Wu sat down next to her. "You are sad again," he said. "Your mother wants, I cannot give you that." Wu sighed. "My mother wants many things. That does not mean I want the same things." "But you should have children, you would be a wonderful father." Felt tears in her eyes. "I am holding you back. Maybe we should end this marriage. You could find someone else. Someone who is not broken." Wu took her hand. His grip was warm and strong. "Listen to me. I do not want anyone else. I want you. And I wish you would stop calling yourself broken. You are not broken." "But I am. The doctors on my planet tested me for 100 years. They tried every treatment. Nothing worked. My body cannot produce children. That is the truth." Wu was quiet for a moment. Then he spoke. "Have you ever been examined by a human doctor?" Looked at him confused. "A human doctor? No, why would I? Your medicine is far less advanced than ours." "Maybe," Wu said slowly, "but sometimes a new perspective can help. Different eyes might see different things." "You cannot be serious. Human doctors could not possibly find something that doctors missed." "Maybe not, but what harm could it do to try?" He squeezed her hand. "Please, do this for me. Just one examination. If the human doctors say the same thing, then we will never speak of it again. But if there is even a small chance that they could help." Wanted to say no. She had been through so many tests, so many failures. The thought of going through it all again made her tired. But she looked at Wu's hopeful face and she could not refuse him. "Fine," she said. "One examination, but do not get your hopes up." The next week, Wu took her to a hospital in Seoul. It was a large building, white and clean. The doctors there specialized in alien patients. Since Earth had started trading with other planets, they had learned a lot about non-human biology. The lead doctor was a woman named Min. She was small and thin, with hair and sharp eyes. She did not seem impressed by his royal status. She treated her like any other patient. "The Empire sent us your medical records," doctor said, looking at a screen. "They are very thorough. Your doctors tested you for almost every known condition that could cause infertility." "I know," said tiredly. "There is nothing you can do. I have accepted this." Doctor raised an eyebrow. "Have you? Then why are you here?" "My husband asked me to come." "Ah," Doctor nodded. "Well, since you are here, let me run a few tests of my own, human tests. They may not find anything, but I am curious." Spent the whole day at the hospital. Blood tests, scans, examinations. It was just like the hundreds of tests she had done on her home planet. She expected nothing to come of it. But 3 days later, Doctor called them back to the hospital. "I found something," she said. Felt her heart stop. "What do you mean?" Doctor pulled up an image on her screen. It showed something that looked like tiny dots floating in blood. "These are your cells," the doctor explained. "They are missing something, a mineral that humans have naturally but people do not produce. It is called selenium." "Selenium?" Wu leaned forward. "I have heard of that. It is in our food." "Yes, it is a trace mineral found in many Earth foods. Meat, fish, nuts, grains. Humans need it to stay healthy. And apparently," Doctor looked at, "so do reproductive systems." Could not believe what she was hearing. "Are you saying that I am barren because I am missing a mineral?" "That is exactly what I am saying. Your planet does not have selenium in its soil, so your food does not have it either. Your doctors never tested for it because they did not know it existed. But here on Earth, we know all about it." "Can it be fixed?" Wu asked. His voice was shaking. Doctor smiled. "Easily. We can give Princess selenium supplements. Simple pills taken once a day. Within 6 months, her body should be functioning normally." The room was silent, sat completely still, unable to move. She must have heard wrong. This could not be real. "You are telling me," she said slowly, "that the greatest doctors in the Empire with all their advanced technology could not fix me. But humans with your simple medicine can cure me with pills." "That is exactly what I am telling you." Doctor seemed amused by the irony. "Sometimes the answer is not complicated. Sometimes it is just a matter of looking in the right place." Started to cry. She could not stop herself. Years of pain, years of shame, years of being told she was worthless. And now this human doctor was telling her it could all be fixed with a simple pill. Wu held her as she cried. He was crying too, but he was also laughing. "I told you," he said, his voice breaking with emotion. "I told you human doctors might help. I told you." They left the hospital with a bottle of selenium pills, held them like they were the most precious thing in the universe. In a way, they were. On the way home, she thought about her family. All those years they had called her broken. They had thrown her away like garbage. They had sent her to Earth as a joke, a punishment. But Earth had saved her. These simple, primitive humans had found what the mighty Empire could not: a cure, a second chance, a future. That night took her first selenium pill. It was small and round, no bigger than a pea. Such a tiny thing, such an ordinary thing. But as she swallowed it, she felt something change inside her. Not physically, not yet, but in her heart. For the first time in her life, she believed she could have everything she had ever wanted. A husband who loved her, a home where she was welcome, and maybe, just maybe, a child of her own. The galaxy had laughed when she was sent to Earth, but now was the one who wanted to laugh, because she knew something they did not. The miracle was just beginning. 6 months passed. Autumn came to Korea, painting the trees in shades of red and gold. The mountains around Wu's house looked like they were on fire with color, had never seen anything so beautiful. She took her selenium pills every day without fail. Doctor ran tests every month to track her progress. Each time, the results were better than before. Her body was changing, healing, becoming whole. And then one cold November morning, everything changed. Woke up feeling strange. Her stomach was upset and she felt dizzy when she tried to stand. At first, she thought she was sick, But then she remembered something doctor had told her. When your body is ready, you will know. Pay attention to how you feel. With shaking hands, went to the bathroom. She had bought a human pregnancy test weeks ago, just in case. She had never used it because she was too afraid of disappointment. But now, she could not wait any longer. 5 minutes later, she was holding the test in her hands. 2 pink lines, positive. Dropped the test and covered her mouth with her hands. She could not breathe. She could not think. She just stared at those 2 pink lines, her whole body shaking. It was real. After 200 years of being told she would never have children, she was pregnant. She ran downstairs, still in her sleeping clothes. Wu was in the kitchen, making breakfast. He turned around when he heard her footsteps. "What is wrong? You look pale." She could not speak. She just held up the test. Wu looked at it. For a moment he did not understand. Then his eyes went wide. Is that what I think it is?" Nodded, tears streaming down her face. Wu dropped the pan he was holding. It crashed to the floor, but neither of them cared. He ran to her and wrapped his arms around her, lifting her off the ground and spinning her in circles. "We are going to have a baby," he shouted. "We are going to have a baby." They held each other and cried. Happy tears, healing tears. Years of pain and doubt washed away in that moment. They went to the hospital that same day. Doctor confirmed what the test had shown, was pregnant. The baby was healthy, everything was perfect. "Congratulations," doctor said with a warm smile. "The selenium treatment worked exactly as we hoped. Your child will be the first human hybrid in history. This is a historic moment." Placed her hand on her stomach. She could not feel the baby yet, but she knew it was there. A tiny life growing inside her, half human, half a miracle. News of the pregnancy spread quickly. First to Wu's family, who cried with joy. His mother, who had once asked about, could not stop hugging. "I am so happy," she said. "Welcome to our family truly, you are our daughter now." Had never had a mother who loved her, but now she had one, and a father-in-law who treated her with kindness, and aunts and uncles and cousins who welcomed her without judgment. This was what family was supposed to feel like. But the news did not stay on Earth for long. Through diplomatic channels, word reached the Empire. The Barren princess, the one they had thrown away, was pregnant. The reaction was immediate. His mother, the queen, sent a message demanding to know if it was true. Her tone was cold and suspicious, as always. "This must be a lie," the message said. "Some human trick. You cannot possibly be carrying a child. You are barren, this is a fact." Replied with medical records from doctor, scans of the baby. Proof that could not be. The queen went silent, so did the rest of the family. But the public did not stay silent. News of the pregnancy spread across the empire like wildfire. The princess who had been mocked and humiliated was now carrying the first hybrid child. The humans, the primitive species everyone looked down on, had accomplished what medicine could not. Some people were angry. They said it was impossible, a trick, a lie. They did not want to believe that humans could be better at anything. But others were amazed. They wanted to know how the humans had done it. What was this miracle mineral called selenium? Could it help other women who had similar problems? The medical community was in chaos. They had spent centuries believing their science was the best in the galaxy. Now, a simple human doctor had proven them wrong with a pill. Months passed and his belly grew round. She had never felt so alive, so complete. The baby kicked inside her, and each kick felt like a gift. Wu was by her side every moment. He cooked her special foods, rubbed her tired feet, and talked to the baby every night. "Hello, little one," he would say, pressing his lips to stomach. "I am your father. I cannot wait to meet you. You are going to be so loved." Watched him with tears in her eyes. This man, this human, had given her everything. He had seen her value when no one else did. He had believed in her when she did not believe in herself. "I love you," she told him one night. It was the first time she had said those words. On her planet, people did not say such things. It was considered weak. But Wu just smiled and kissed her forehead. "I love you too. I have loved you since the moment you walked off that ship." The due date approached. Doctor prepared everything carefully. A hybrid birth had never happened before. No one knew exactly what to expect. But was not afraid. She was surrounded by people who loved her. Whatever happened, she would not face it alone. On a cold winter night, went into labor. The birth was difficult and long. There were moments when she thought she could not do it. But Wu held her hand and whispered encouragement, and she found the strength to keep going. And then, after 16 hours, a baby's cry filled the room. "It is a girl," Doctor announced. "A healthy baby girl." They placed the baby in his arms. She was small and perfect, with pale blue skin like her mother and dark eyes like her father. She had 10 tiny fingers and 10 tiny toes. She was the most beautiful thing had ever seen. "Hello, my daughter," whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I have waited my whole life for you." Wu leaned over them, crying openly. "She is perfect. She is absolutely perfect." They named her. It meant one in Korean. She was their one and only, their miracle, their proof that love could conquer anything. That night, messages flooded in from across the galaxy. Congratulations from Earth leaders, questions from scientists, and silence from his own family. But did not care. She had everything she needed right here in this room. A husband who loved her, a daughter who was healthy, and a future full of possibilities. The Barren princess was barren no more. And the galaxy was watching. 1 year after was born, a message arrived from the Empire. The Emperor himself had sent it. He requested that Princess return to the palace with her husband and child for an official visit. Read the message 3 times before she believed it was real. "They want me to come back," she said to Wu. "After everything they did to me, they want me to come back." Wu looked at the message over her shoulder. "What do you want to do?" Thought about it for a long time. Part of her never wanted to see her family again. They had hurt her in ways that would never fully heal. They had called her broken, worthless, a disgrace. But another part of her wanted them to see what she had become. She wanted them to see. She wanted them to know that their cruelty had not destroyed her. "I want to go," she said finally. "I want to show them that they were wrong about me." They prepared for the journey. Was a cheerful baby, always laughing and reaching for things. She had grown quickly in her first year. Her pale blue skin had darkened slightly, becoming a beautiful shade of violet. Her dark eyes sparkled with intelligence. She was healthy and strong, the perfect blend of 2 worlds. The trip to the Empire took 3 weeks just like before, but this time was not alone. She had her husband by her side and her daughter in her arms. She was not afraid. When their ship landed at the palace, a large crowd had gathered, but this crowd was different from the one that had watched her leave. There was no laughter, no mocking. Instead, there was silence. Stepped off the ship with her head held high. She wore a beautiful gown of silver and gold, earth fashion mixed with tradition. Wu walked beside her in a formal suit, and in her arms looked around at everything with wide, curious eyes. The crowd stared at the baby. They had never seen a hybrid before. They did not know what to expect, but just smiled at them, showing her tiny teeth, and reached out a hand toward the nearest person. The person, an old noble woman, hesitated. Then slowly, she reached out and touched the baby's hand. "She is beautiful," the woman whispered. "She is absolutely beautiful." The whisper spread through the crowd. Beautiful, miracle, impossible. The words floated through the air like leaves in the wind. Walked through the crowd and into the palace. The halls that had once been full of mockery were now full of stares. Everyone wanted to see the hybrid princess. Everyone wanted to see the miracle that human medicine had created. The throne room was packed with nobles. The emperor sat on his throne, looking older than remembered. Her mother stood beside him, and her 4 sisters stood in a row below. Walked to the center of the room and stopped. She did not bow. "Grandfather," she said, her voice clear and strong, "I have returned as you requested." The emperor looked at her for a long moment. Then his eyes moved to the baby in her arms. "So it is true," he said slowly. "You have a child." "I do. Her name is, she is 1 year old. And she is healthy. Perfectly healthy, half human, the first of her kind." The throne room was silent. The mother stared at the baby with an expression she could not read. Her sisters looked shocked, their mouths hanging open. "How is this possible?" one of her sisters finally asked. "You were barren, the doctors said so." Turned to face her sister. The same sister who had mocked her, laughed at her, called her worthless. "The doctors were wrong," said calmly. "They tested me for every condition, but they never tested for human conditions. My body was missing a simple mineral called selenium. The humans found it and cured me in 6 months." The silence in the room was thick. Every noble was thinking the same thing. How could the primitive human succeed where the great empire had failed? His mother stepped forward. Her face was hard, but there was something else in her eyes, something that might have been shame. "You should have told us," she said. "We could have found this mineral. We could have cured you ourselves." Felt anger rise in her chest, but she kept her voice calm. "You did not want to cure me. You wanted to get rid of me. You sent me to Earth because you thought I was worthless. You laughed at me. You told me I was broken." Her mother looked away. "But I was not broken," continued. "I was never broken. You just did not care enough to look for the answer." The emperor spoke again. "This selenium, can it help other women?" "Yes," said. "Doctor believes many fertility problems could be solved with proper mineral supplements. Earth is willing to share this knowledge with the Empire, for a price." "A price?" Smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "The Empire will issue a formal apology to me and to the human race. You will admit that you were wrong about both of us, and you will change the way you treat people who are different." The nobles began to whisper. This was unheard of. No one demanded apologies from the emperor. But the emperor looked at his great-granddaughter in his arms, was watching him with her dark eyes, so innocent and pure. This child was the future, a bridge between 2 worlds. "Very well," the emperor said finally. "The empire apologizes, to you and to the humans." The nobles gasped. This was the first apology in history. Looked at her mother and her sisters. They stood frozen, unable to speak. "I do not need your apologies," she told them. "I do not need anything from you. I have a family that loves me. I have a husband who sees my worth. I have a daughter who is happy and healthy." She stepped closer to her mother, and her voice dropped low. "You tried to throw me away. But the people you gave me to, the people you called primitive and worthless, they gave me everything. They gave me love and medicine and a future. The humans are worth more than you will ever know." Her mother's face crumbled. For the first time, saw tears in her eyes. "Lie." "Goodbye," Mother said. "I hope someday you understand what you lost." She turned and walked out of the throne room. Wu followed her, still in her arms. Behind her she could hear the whispers of the nobles, the sobs of her mother, the silence of her sisters. But she did not look back. Outside the palace the crowd had grown even larger. News of what happened in the throne room had spread quickly. The Barren princess had returned. The humans had cured her. The emperor had apologized. People cheered as walked through. Some of them reached out to touch, to see the miracle baby for themselves. Children waved and old people bowed. Wu took's hand. "How do you feel?" Looked at him, then at the crowd around them. "Free," she said. "I feel free." They returned to Earth the next day. As the ship lifted off, watched her home planet grow smaller in the window. But this time she felt no sadness. That place was no longer her home. Her home was on Earth. in a house surrounded by cherry blossom trees, with a husband who loved her and a daughter who was her whole world. The galaxy had laughed when the Barren princess was sent to Earth. They had thought it was a punishment, a disgrace. But it was the greatest gift she had ever received. And now, watching her daughter grow and thrive, knew the truth. Humanity was not primitive. Humanity was not worthless. Humanity was exactly what the galaxy needed. A reminder that sometimes the simplest answers are the best ones. And that love, true love, can make miracles happen.